All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. So first day of the month here. Maybe had a little bit of new money flow coming in. Usually you get a gap up on that first day of the month. New money flow comes in and a little bit of selling into that here. What's interesting to me is if we go back and look at yesterday and compare it to today, you had almost the same exact pattern, right? Remember this little head and shoulder pattern we got yesterday, then the breakdown, and kind of that little inside bar there. Well, you had kind of the same thing here. You had to move up and then a little bit of a stalled out, kind of a 1, 2, 3 bear flag, and then a move down to the 200. Little inside bar here, kind of at the bottom. But yesterday we got the rally into the last 20 minutes. Today we're getting a little bit of a fade in the last 20 minutes. So ultimately, it looks like the algos have been turned on here as, outside of the last 10, 20 minutes of the day, we've had very similar patterns here in the market. Ultimately, though, it looks to me like we're just consolidating here. A little bit of a pullback pattern continuing to stay inside of this bar from Friday on a closing basis. So potentially an inside bar pattern here forming. And we'll just continue to watch that as market getting a little bit of a bid here. About 5-6 minutes left in the trading day. What jumps out to me right now, especially and really all day long, is the VIX is the VXX rather is up it's up 12% now. It's printing 12% here, and the market's only down 2%. Now, yeah, 2% is a lot, but not considering recent trends, right? So 2% last August would have been a meltdown day, right? A 2% down day is really routine right now considering the level of volatility. So the VIX being up 11% here, and actually we can look at the actual VIX, but the actual VIX is basically testing, it's very close to testing last week's low, up 15% here on the day. And if you look at the spiders, we're nowhere near that level. So there is a ton of put buying right now. There's a lot of protection buying. The put call ratio is still above a 0.91, I believe, last I checked. And everybody seems to be betting on a crash. We're still well away from the lows here, but the VIX is way outperforming. So that tells me that there's a lot of put buying, and a lot of people are essentially betting on us hitting back to the lows there. And when everybody's on one side of the boat, I tend to like to be on the other side, but we'll see. Anything can happen in this market. Anyways, outside of that, we have an inside bar here. We're staying in the upper range of this surge from last week, and we won't make too much more out of it. I still think we're kind of setting up for an ABC move up. But with that said, let's flip over here and we'll look at a few patterns here. Let's look at the triple Qs. First off, down a little bit less than the spiders here with bonds bidding a little bit today, but continuing to pull back a little bit. We talked about this yesterday, kind of like a 1, 2, 3 up and then a pullback. You're going to see this pattern on almost every chart I show here. Russell 2000, same kind of thing. I said yesterday that Russell would probably be red today. And again, 1, 2, 3 up, hitting that 205 area, and then a little pullback there. So Russell 2000 coming back in as well. Semiconductors had an inside day yesterday, going red today again, so a little bit of a retrace there, but it's hanging in there for now. IGV, same kind of deal. I said that it was going to go right into resistance yesterday. That's right where we went, and now we're getting a little bit of a pullback. Still inside of yesterday's range, though, on a closing basis. You can see the same thing on Apple, 1, 2, 3 up, Tesla, 1, 2, 3 up, pullback, Facebook. So all the big tech stocks, 1, 2, 3, Netflix, 1, 2, 3, and a pullback. So very common to see that after 3-bar surges. And again, nothing really wrong with the market. I know it looks, or at least, if you go on social media, that we're crashing right now, according to everybody. But a lot of put buying. It looks kind of bad, but it's really not when you zoom out and look at the daily time frame. Anyways, let's flip over here. Dow Transports next. Again, same thing. 1, 2, 3 up. I said yesterday I was going to go into that 200 moving average, and it's getting a reaction off of that. So again, a red candle here maybe wants to consolidate a little bit if it's going to make a move higher, but I don't see anything wrong with the Dow Transports at the moment. Home Builder is also pulling back off the highs today again. 1, 2 up inside day. And I said this was resistance here. Again, you go back into resistance and you got to stall out a little bit. So XHB pulling back, BNQ, same thing, pulling back off that 20, but staying inside of Friday's range on a closing basis yet again. All right, so let's talk about financials, because financials got hit a little bit again today. Let's flip over. Let's talk about yields first. So yields pulling back again. Now kind of getting into that 100 moving average area. I still think it's possible if we get a little bit lower here. Again, on the weekly time frame, I don't really see anything wrong with it. It's a pretty nice move here on the daily, but you zoom out and it's looks more like a routine pullback to me here on the weekly. It doesn't mean it can't head a little bit lower, but there's a lot of support kind of, we're getting very close to some support areas here. This is the 30-year. Maybe it wants to get closer to that 2% area, but you know, overall, I really don't see anything wrong with yields, although they are having a pretty sizable move today. And that's probably fueling a lot of the of what's going on in the VIX right now. Is, you know, bonds are getting a bid, and so investors are kind of freaking out a little bit. But ultimately, I just see this in the charts as a little bit of a pullback pattern, honestly. And by the way, if there is some type of a resolution on with this the Ukraine and Russia situation, the market will gap up like 2% in one day. Now it probably gets sold off immediately after that, but you know, this market's kind of it's very news driven right now. But you know, ultimately, again, you look at these patterns and there's really nothing wrong with any of them. I mean, like spiders is still inside of this bar. There's nothing really going on here, but you know, we are seeing some bond market volatility. Anyways, XLF, so that got hit down 3.6, holding last week's lows again. It's testing down here because of bond yields pulling back in. We can see the broker dealers again holding up a little bit better. They had that tail candle there, and that has not been taken out, but a pretty big sizable red day today here for broker dealers. The big loser in financials is JP Morgan, so down another 4% again. I do like this level here though. You're getting into some pretty nice support. You got right into that 100-week moving average, and now getting a reaction off of that. And this is also kind of your area where you had chop, previous all-time high. So I do like this level here for JPM for a bounce. Morgan Stanley, same kind of deal. So if we take a look at Morgan, right into this range here. So this is where you had that chop, kind of tried to break down, it reversed, and now the stock's, you know, kind of right into that level again. You also have a little tail candle. So if we close above that tail candle on a weekly, you know, that could still be a positive there. But anyways, you know, financials coming back in, and they're going to continue to come back in as the market closes there, as bond yields pull back a little bit. Anyways, let's flip over and talk about XLE. So we talked about possible window dressing. XLE did get a little bit of a bid here into the close, but it opened higher and then rallied up and then kind of sold off a little bit. So, you know, possibly a little bit of distribution from yesterday. XOP, same kind of thing. Big, you know, big fat doji candle with heavy volume there. So, you know, again, it's very possible that what we saw yesterday was some window dressing, maybe a little bit of gamma squeezing as they were kind of exiting the back door. OYH actually finished sharply negative here. Just barely saved it at the last minute. It was an engulfing candle for quite a almost the whole session really, but they did save it up here at the last minute. But yeah, OIH again, and then, you know, pretty heavy volume there too. So we'll be watching that into the end of the week. Speaking of into the end of the week, so crude able to smash through that tail high here, closed at 104.68 by 4 p.m. But again, we'll watch the weekly. If we reverse it and close back inside of this candle here on the weekly, that candle is still held. So I would say it's not a breakout yet. But for right now, crude has gotten a huge bid, and we'll just kind of leave it alone for right now. Nat gas also holding that inside bar. So we talked about this low candle here yesterday. That did holding at Nat gas, got a little bit of a bid. So it's holding up for now. Looks like it's consolidating to make a move higher to me. Dollar index also got a bid today. Still inside of this tail candle from last week. Ultimately, I think it needs to pull back a little bit more, do some backhand filling. But dollar index up here with bonds up, kind of a bit of a risk-off trade in the near term. Gold, so this one's also interesting. Another huge bid, 2.5% here, touching that 1950 area, or just about to really. You can see the GLD here bidding up in the last minutes of the session. Still has this big candle here. Not really sure what to make of it at this point. There's really nothing to do with it on a swing trading basis right now. Same thing with silver. Getting up to test this candle here again, but we'll have to see what happens tomorrow. Maybe it can close above that candle, maybe not. But gold and silver performing well as fear trades right now. And platinum, again, staying inside of yesterday's range, so bucking the trend a little bit. Palladium, on the other hand, essentially getting up to double top, but this is going to be a tough area for palladium to take out. Had a lot of volume up there, so we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. Let's just let the patterns kind of play out. Copper not doing a whole lot again. Again, staying inside of this red bar. If nothing happens on copper shortly, I might stop covering it for a while because it's been so range bound for such a long time. I need to see a breakout one way or the other. Otherwise, this is really just not even that interesting at this point. Anyways, let's flip over here to Bitcoin. All right, so there we go. Bitcoin. So again, and people are starting to catch on to this now. I'm seeing a little bit more in the media. Crypto kind of decoupling a little bit from equity markets. Again, I take this as kind of a leading bullish indicator in the near term. So we had that big pop yesterday, and then a green day today again. And again, those higher lows in there, like we talked about. So that again, we have a high dollar and high bonds. Green dollar, green bonds, and green crypto. So a little bit of a mixed signal, but ultimately I still take this as a bit of a risk on kind of signal here in the near term, I guess. Anyways, let's let the pattern develop a little bit more. Let's flip back over to the spiders. So still holding this green bar low here by the close. We closed at 429.75. Nice little engulfing reversal there in the last 10 minutes. Won't make too much out of it again. This looks more like a pullback pattern here to me. Triple Qs. Holding Friday's lows. The diamonds have been a little bit weaker here today, but still held Friday's lows by a closing basis. And IWM, nice reversal in the last 10 minutes or so, again, just like everything else. But again, 1, 2, 3 up, nice pullback, very typical type action. We might need to consolidate for a day or two more, then maybe we can make a move up and kind of complete an ABC up here in the near term. And then, maybe that takes us into the Fed announcement. So we'll see what happens there. Anyways, guys, we'll wrap it up here. You guys take care. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.